After my parents deserted me at 13, my affluent uncle took me in. 15 years later, can you imagine standing at the very precipice of grief, your heart shattered by loss, only to have the people who abandoned you 15 years ago waltz back into your life, eyes gleaming with greed, convinced they're about to strike it rich? My name is Della, and that's exactly what happened the day after my Uncle Walter's funeral. I was 28, still reeling, my eyes swollen raw from yesterday's tears. Walter wasn't just an uncle. He was the man who had saved me, who'd pulled me and my little brother from the wreckage 15 years ago after our parents walked away. Now, I stood in the impossibly plush waiting room of an upscale law firm, every fiber of my being screaming with exhaustion and sorrow. The elegant mahogany door swung open, and my breath hitched. My heart utterly stopped. There they were, Frank and Elaine, my biological parents. 15 years of absolute deafening silence, and suddenly they appeared. Draped in cheap knockoff jewelry, exchanging smirks about the millions they expected to inherit. Can you even fathom that kind of audacity? My childhood in Pittsburgh was a million miles from plush. It was a bleak, run-down apartment in a neighborhood where the wail of sirens was our nightly lullaby. Peeling paint, broken elevators, and that constant, inescapable smell of mold, that was home. Our one-bedroom apartment housed 4 of us, with me and my little brother Tommy, squeezed onto a pull-out couch in the living room. Most nights, one or both of our parents would simply be absent. That left me, barely a child myself, to care for Tommy. My father, Frank, worked sporadically as a construction worker, but his real passion, his true addiction, was sports betting. Every payday was a cruel, predictable cycle. Cash's check disappeared to the bookies for hours. Sometimes, he'd return jubilant, flush with cash, taking us out for ice cream and spinning grand hollow promises of a better future. More often, though, he'd stumble home drunk, reeking of cheap whiskey, his mood as volatile as a summer storm. One minute he'd be weeping, telling us how much he loved us, how we were his whole world. The next, he'd be throwing plates against the wall because dinner was cold. "You're just like your uncle, always judging me." He'd snap at me when I dared to ask where the rent money had gone. I learned quickly to read his moods, to know when to speak, and more importantly, when to make myself utterly invisible. Then there was Elaine, my mother. She worked at a department store makeup counter. She was beautiful, yes, but in a brittle, fragile way, with meticulously applied makeup and clothes she absolutely couldn't afford. She blew her paychecks on designer knockoffs and costume jewelry, perpetually dreaming of a luxurious life she believed she deserved. In her mind, Tommy and I weren't her children. We were anchors dragging her down from the glamorous existence she might have had. "I could have been a model," she'd sigh, gazing at old photographs. "I could have been somebody before I got stuck with..." Full story video added in below.